Hey, a bunch of puncher here coming at you with another Street Fighter 6 video. It's pretty interesting matches in this footage. I somehow beat a master rank player as Marissa, which is wild to me because I do not like main her. I don't even think I'm good enough with her to like consider her a secondary character to my like main Akuma. But I mean, there you go. I don't want to give too much flack to like the master rank player that I was fighting against. It might have just been a bad night for him. I think I was playing kind of late during that time. So, I mean, who knows? I think also in this footage, I got my first ever double perfect. So, pretty proud of that. Um, I'm also kind of doing a new thing with footage. So, I'm not recording live anymore. Instead, I'm just taking from like my replays. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to like get matches because, sometimes with like disconnecting in the game, I have to like pause the recording and then boot it up, and then I have to cut the part that I paused at. This kind of makes it a little bit easier for me. So if you notice that it's edited, oh my god, if it's cut differently, that's the reason why. But I guess I want to just very briefly talk about a topic that I can't remember if I had mentioned it before. I might have, but I'm too lazy to check right now, to be honest. But it's the issue of throw looping in Street Fighter 6. It's been a topic, these past couple of days, mainly sparked by Broski having a particular, I don't know if I'd call it a hot take from Broski, because in some ways I kind of do agree with him, but his take was that if Capcom doesn't do anything to fix or to just like throw looping in Street Fighter 6, that the game won't be remembered fondly, right? Like it'll be like that much of a tarnish on the legacy of like Street Fighter 6, after it's like, life as its life in the competitive scene. Now, if for whatever reason you've never heard of throw looping, I don't think I have enough like fighting game knowledge to really explain it to you. If you want like a good explainer of like what throw looping is and why it is kind of an issue, I would recommend Broski did come out with a video like where he explained the problems with it himself, and I think he does a pretty good job of explaining like why it's an issue and what it is. um but in terms, I guess I kind of just want to dissect like his take and like my experience with throw looping in Street Fighter 6, which because for me it's kind of interesting. Like I'm not like the most competitive player out there. Again, I play like mostly casual matches. um Always been on the fence about getting in ranked. If anyone's interested in seeing me do ranked, leave a comment below, and I will definitely try it. But I just, I never want to like really obsess too much about like, oh, what rank am I or whatever. I just like playing the game. But even in like the casual setting I exist in, you could tell that there is a hyper vigilance about throw looping. Like for myself, at most I could get two two throws in a loop before like the my opponent will like try and like wake up drive reversal, or wake up with an invincible wake up move. And and I don't know, I guess it kind of creates this weird mentality of like, oh, I might have died because I woke up with like a drive reversal, but at least I didn't die from like a throw loop. Like, because people are just like terror. I feel like two people are just terrified of like dying from it. Um, but no, I do somewhat agree with Broski's take. I think that you know, it is kind of and other people have talked about it too, how it could kind of ruin like from a spectator perspective of like high competitive like watching Street Fighter 6 like in like tournaments and stuff like that, because like there's been like Capcom Cups where people have been like thrown loop to death, and I think that might be harder to explain to like somebody that's like trying to get into Street Fighter 6, like, oh, why didn't he just tech the throw or something? And it's like, well, it's more complicated than that, right? um so, and I think again, Broski's video does a good job of explaining like how the options or the way that throws work currently in Street Fighter 6, how you don't really have any good like defenses against being thrown loop in the corner. Um, at the same time, I mean, I don't know if it's just like the internet. I don't think like I guess everyone just has a different level of tolerance for me. So while I am kind of annoyed with like getting thrown loop, I think it can be very frustrating. At the same time, I have played other fighting games with like worse mechanics than like throw looping, more frustrating mechanics or more frustrating aspects than throw loops that nonetheless are still beloved by people. I think it's like what's that like whole genre of like bad fighting games that people still like Kitsurugi or something like that. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. But so no, I think like even if hypothetically they don't fix throw looping, I think I'll still very much love Street Fighter 6. Simply because of how much I got into it. And the fact that it kind of like rekindled this love for like fighting games for me, inspired the channel that you're listening to right now. But yeah, I mean, he is coming at it from like a competitive perspective, and I think like in that regard, it is kind of harder to tolerate because you're more likely to encounter being thrown loop as opposed to like lower levels where they might not even know that's necessarily a thing you can do, right? Or again, like as I explained, like because people are hyper vigilant of it, they're like so afraid of doing it that like it just never happens because people just eat the punish of like not getting thrown loop because it's like a better way to get defeated, I guess. Um, but I guess I will say I am pretty confident that Street Fighter 6 will fix throw looping. I think I remember in year one throw looping was actually worse. I think like some characters had the ability to just throw loop from a back throw. Like you didn't even need to be in the corner. I remember like I think Zangief, for example, I remember throw looping with like a back throw at least once or twice, and they adjusted that I think by setting like a higher pushback for back throws, so you can't really like do it anymore. Um, so I'm pretty confident. It's and they again this was I didn't really play Street Fighter Five, but people have said that that game also had like a throw looping problem that they did adjust. Um, so I don't think I think with you know prolific players like Broski kind of bringing it to attention that I think they will. I'm pretty confident that they will address it. But I guess I will end this by saying I am curious as to how they will. So I was trying to think about like other fighting games, and because somebody else also made a tweet saying I can't remember the guy's name. It starts with a D, like DIA or something, Diaprone, or I'm probably mispronouncing the name. But he brought up the point that like throw looping is kind of a thing in like a lot of fighting games. It's not like most fighting games have some aspect of throw looping. So that kind of made me think like, how do other fighting games discourage, like minimize or otherwise discourage throw looping, right? And what would be like my preferred method of like dealing with the issue. Um, and I'm not sure. I read it and I read like some solutions that other games have or that other people have proposed. Some people said that you could increase like the recovery frames for like a throw, so that way you make like backdashing to avoid the throw in the corner more much more viable of a solution because you could like backdash and then they whiff it and then you can counter, um, and then you could counter from there. You can make throws easier to break. I don't know if that would solve the issue because, as Broski said in his video, that breaking a throw that's not necessarily like a good answer to like a throw because it just puts you back in neutral. I think was like his explanation for it. Um, what what was the other big one that I saw? You could again you could do what they did with like back throws. You could change like is how much pushback is given after a throw, so that way you kind of have to. So you give like the defensive player more breathing room to react, and so they don't get like thrown again. And I don't know, maybe there's like more solutions I'm not like thinking of, right? And it also depends on like how throws work in your game. Like some games treat throws very differently. In City of the Wolves, I mean, no, that's probably not true. No, I was thinking of something, but I don't think that's probably true. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I am curious to see like how they do, if they do address throw looping, which again I'm pretty sure that they will. How they go about it, right? And what would the community prefer? Because I honestly don't have like any clear answer to this. If you want to leave a comment, I guess saying like, because I do actually want to genuinely know from people that might know more than me about this, like how should Capcom deal with throw looping? But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me. I'll just let you enjoy the rest of this footage, and yeah, just take care.
Seriously.
Round 2. Fight! Akuma, win! Round 1. Fight! Round 2. Fight!
My turn!
Akuma, win!
This sucks!
Round 1. Fight! Round 2. Fight! two, fight! Final round. Fight! Akuma, win!